going on, everybody? Welcome to the Snob interviews, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. I'm very excited to talk to, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, Mr. David Black. He is the producer, he's the writer, he's the star of the new movie, Toxic Alien Zombie Babes from Outer Space. I'm very excited to talk to you about this movie. It is catching a lot of buzz, and I've been keeping up with it, and it's so exciting. How you doing today, David?
Oh, fantastic. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
So how's everything over there? I know COVID has kind of hit everybody hard globally, and but you guys are doing okay over there?
Not really. We're in stage 4 lockdown. You're only allowed out, well, until this morning, until midnight, you're only allowed out for 1 hour a day. Now they said you're allowed out for 2 hours, but only for 4 reasons. That's to go to the doctor, to go to shopping, to go to work if you can't work from home, or for exercise. And we're also under a curfew. And there's a limit to, we have to social distance, we have to wear masks outside. So we're under one of the strictest lockdowns in the whole world.
Whoa, I didn't realize it was that strict and where you guys were. And I have some friends in Australia, and I guess we just never got into how strict it is. I suppose we should probably be that strict here in the States.
Oh, the other states in Australia aren't under as strict a lockdown as Melbourne. We just happen to have the amount of cases go through the roof a couple of months back, and it hit the alarm bells, and bang, before we knew it, we were just under the strictest lockdowns. With the film, we were already under lockdown when the film started. So it hasn't changed anything with how we're doing things with the film. That was purely designed to be done under the current conditions.
Which is from people all over the world, right? Globally, you have footage from everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Virtually anywhere you can think of, we've got footage either arranged to come in or that has come in. A lot's come in from America, and this is right across America. But I'd say at least a couple are from Texas.
Oh, that's awesome. And how did you go about getting everybody's footage? Did you have planned certain actors, or were you doing casting through like Zoom like this, or?
Well, this all hit us out of the blue in a way. I mean, yeah, sure, look, we were all looking at what was happening in Wuhan in January, and I think most of us went into lockdown around March. So there was no way of knowing what was going to happen or what we could do. All I knew is that we couldn't get a cast and crew together, and that happened while we were actually shooting a short movie. So I was working with Gerardo on a short movie called Clink, Clunk, Clonk, and we'd already gone into lockdown where you could only have up to 5 people on a set. And he had the script, and I'd already sourced a location, and we were watching to see what the restrictions were to make sure we could go ahead. And then it changed, and I realized, well, we can't have 5 on a set. And even if we could have, we had this scripted for 5 actors, and that meant having no camera guy. You couldn't have your camera, soundy, etc., and still go ahead. But it had been designed also for the lockdown restrictions of the time. So it was basically a narration that we were putting footage over. Anyway, I messaged Gerardo on Facebook, said, hey, restrictions have changed. There's no way you can follow the script now. So just do what you want. Well, he ended up pretty close to following the script. He went out and filmed himself as the main character, and kept the camera rolling, and had himself in there 5 times. My part in that had already been designed for lockdown. I basically got the iPhone, did the narration, put lipstick on, black lipstick on, and the vampire fangs. These are clip in. I'm not that nuts to have real vampire fangs. And
we awesome. I gotta tell you.
Oh, I purposely put them on because I thought your show's visual. Let's just because we're on lockdown, let's not just rock up. I won't rock up in my pajamas, Anyway, I did the narration and filmed my mouth doing the narration. Cling, clang, clong, rose the sound of the big machine. Anyway, where he was filming, he managed to dump that iPhone footage into different places. So wherever he was going, you might see the mouth come up in a maybe a street sign or whatever. And I looked at what he did with how he filmed himself 5 times over, and I thought to myself, if I can come up with, sorry about that, if I can come up with maybe 6 or 7 ideas of how we can film without the film looking like Zoom footage, not knocking a podcast supposed to be Zoom footage, or just all close-ups done on the iPhone, we could probably do a feature. And it was a stupid idea. The sheer size of doing a feature is pretty big in the first place. But as I sat down and kept, just with Notepad open on the computer and jotting down things, I found that I did come up with about 6 or 7 ideas, ways that we could get footage in and work through the scenes and without it looking, because people had done feature films and short films, and it was all just Zoom footage, a whole lot of talking heads. That we didn't want to do what was called a lockdown film. If I was going to do it, it had to be able to be watched long after lockdown, with no apologies, no saying to people, oh, please forgive us that it looks like this, but we did it under lockdown. No apologies. It has to be a feature that will stand on its own. And I discussed it with Gerardo, and I couldn't believe it. He said, yeah. So I think we started this at the very beginning of July. The two of us have been working around the clock since putting this together. And we're in territory that no one's gone in before. And if it wasn't for the lockdown, I don't think so many of the actors and people we've got in it would be so open-minded to be listening and saying, I'll give that a try. Yeah. I think if I'd wanted to reach out internationally 1 year ago and had messaged an actor overseas and said, I'd like you in my film. Do you have an iPhone? Can you phone yourself? They would have been thinking I was a nutcase. So the lockdown and the current situations have made people a little bit more open-minded as to how can we work together through this. And I think you've seen the trailer to see that it doesn't look like a shitload of, I don't know if I was allowed to swear. It doesn't look like a whole, okay, I can. It doesn't look like a shitload of Zoom footage. And no, I'm not knocking that, by the way. I watched one piece of Zoom footage and the guy had come up with an idea. Each actor just threw something at the screen. Then the next actor, they must have had someone on the other side, throws something and they catch it. And it looks like that. That's just that's one technique. I mean, that would get boring if you wanted 90 minutes worth of that.
No, but I saw, with the trailer, you do see a lot of outdoor footage and such. So, like, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of locations, it seems. So it really kind of works out well.
Oh, yeah. I've been surprised by it. But there's going to be more surprises down the track. And I mean bad ones for me. Because a lot of this is thinking on your feet and finding out the problems as they're going along and trying to sort through them. For instance, I didn't start off with a fully written script because this thing had to be malleable. If someone didn't come through with their footage and an important part of the script wasn't done, the whole movie would fall through. So what I did was I had the basic idea. I divided it into 14 parts. So for Toxic Alien Zombie Babes from Outer Space, I said, right, this is going to be 14 sections. What is the progression? How are things going to build? How are things going to end? So it's divided into 14 days of the alien invasion. So being able to say, right, there's a main section in each part means that I then only have to trust 14 people, not 90.
Yeah. So that works out well. And now, I want to the concepts So I've read that it's like an homage to the B movies of the 50s and 60s, like those cult horror movies of the 50s and 60s. And the trailer very much looks like that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that. So for you, where did the concept come from? Is this something you always wanted to touch down on, or like a genre that you've always wanted to work on, or?
Well, I was working a lot with short films before that we were trying to do each one of a different genre anyway. But I got a feeling, because my mind's a bit turned to mush after something like 10 weeks of working around the clock. But I got a feeling that when I was looking at it, I realized that the 50s and 60s were far more clever than now. And I'm not a person that lives in the past, but if you look at, say, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, and you look at it from a filmmaker's point of view, when you see this giant hand come down, it's just somebody doing that at the screen. Look how big my hand looks. Then you've got somebody going, ah! Then you've got the person coming up with the doll, and I thought, right, even in the 20s and 30s, filmmakers had to be a lot more clever. In the 20s and 30s, and we didn't do a homage to the 20s and 30s, but I would like to. The 20s and 30s, there are no rules. People had to come up with their own idea of what is a movie, how is it shot. By the 50s and 60s, there's some rules, but people in trying to think of special effects, they didn't say, let's do it in post. Let's do it all in green screen. So I thought, this is actually a very clever period of time, even though it's quite underrated. So I did want to pay homage to those movies. I thought another thought came to me was, I can't guarantee we're going to do a great movie. I mean, yes, it's looking good, and yes, we're putting all of our work into it, but I don't want to lie to the public and say, roll up for the greatest show on earth, and then not deliver. So I thought, if we pay homage to these B-grade movies, no one's expecting a Hollywood blockbuster.
Okay, well, but that's the nice part about that is too, especially it's its own thing. Like, the way I mean that is you have so many Hollywood blockbusters being pushed off, and you have so many CGI films being pushed off. Now you guys are using CGI, but it works for you. Like, you guys, it works in the story. It makes sense. It matches nicely the way you're playing it up. So, and you're right. There's a creativity to the 50s and the 60s and their horror films that I think that you guys are really utilizing here in your movie. And yeah. I like that.
Well, with the CGI, we're not looking to do Hollywood level. Like, you saw some of the effects, and I'll be honest, they're shithouse. And we could have made those a lot better. I've got other SFX guys that I've worked with, and they could easily take Gerardo's effects and start going through them again and again and again and again to really refine them. And I thought, that's not what this movie is about. It's about schlock humor. I want the scene to have impact, of a different type of impact, not the one that says to you, oh, wow, look at the special effects. Last year, one of the movies I went to, I took Vixie, who was our toxic alien zombie babe, and it was a red carpet event. And it was oh my God, the name of the movie's gone out of my mind. Pikachu. Oh. Pikachu the detective. Vixie is one of these people that will not let you leave the cinema until you have seen all of the credits. When the special effects come up for the crew and it says first unit, I'm going, oh my God, the whole screen was just full of names. I can't even tell you how many names. It could have been 30, could have been 50, but that wasn't the end. It had second unit, third unit, fourth unit, fifth unit. You got that many people on it to make sure that the fur just moves the right way. We're not going to be able to have 250 people working on, the explosion to make that explosion to look so real. So when we've got a murder hornet come in and you know that that is an effect, and you're not expecting a giant murder hornet to go into your face. We're not worried that the effect doesn't convince you. It's to get you laughing your head off, like when you watch the 50s and 60s ones, and it's intentional. So yes, I said they were shit house, but that there's different types of shit. I mean, things grow out of shit. but but yes, we've used CGI. We haven't tried to fool anybody to get them to go, oh wow. There is actually a genre where people go for these crazy schlocky ideas, and I thought this year is a schlock year. I mean, it started off with Australia going through what is happening in America at the moment. We had the same thing. Half of Australia, it seemed, was under fire. When I walked out the front door, it was orange, like you're seeing on the TV at the moment for California. People are talking about blowing their nose and finding ash. That's what we had. So we started off with that. Before we knew it, Chinese year of the rat came in, and out came pestilence and disease, and we're all under lockdown. And then you've got people worried about murder hornets, 5G towers. We're covering all of the events of this year, including, hopefully, the Tiger King. So we've got a few people that are doing imitations, which you see at the beginning of the trailer, that we've got somebody taking off Greta Thunberg. Yep. So instead of saying, here's a Hollywood blockbuster, I'm hoping in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, when someone watches it, they're looking back and they're going, oh my God, I remember that. So it's also a snapshot of the year the world lived a B-grade movie.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And yeah, I also like the word schlock. The schlock is such a great word, and a great subgenre of movies too. So I'm glad that you guys are utilizing that, and like kind of not just utilizing it, but like really putting your hands on it and adopting it. Because you're right, it is. This year is like the year of schlock, and everything that's been going on. Now with the movie, how much longer do you think you'll have to film? Are you going to take for the rest of the year, or when are you going to premiere?
We said on day one we're aiming at November. Now I'm looking at how much work is involved in this, and I'm thinking if we make November, it's going to be late November, because there's no way I could have seen that this much work would have to go into it. See, I've got another feature movie that hasn't been released called Badass Bunyip. It's another schlock one, and we were just about to reshoot a few scenes over the Easter long weekend. The film was already shot in entirety, and there were some sound problems with some scenes because there was a beer swilling scene, and when I swilled the beer went into the microphone. We couldn't clean that up, and I'd had problems with the main actress in it, some pretty major ones after that, and I thought, well, look, I want to reshoot this anyway. I don't want her in it, and I don't want to fix the sound. So I had a new actress. New actress for me is somebody that I've also worked with for 4 years, and we were ready to shoot, and that was the weekend that we went into lockdown. When I look at the work in Badass Bunyip, we didn't have to do this much with Badass Bunyip. I spent 4 or 5 hours yesterday just going through chats on Facebook where we were organising it, trying to find each scene to see, has that been delivered to Gerardo? Has it been shot? Has it been delivered? Just to remind people, when's your footage coming in? In between doing all of that, I'm organising the IMDb's and sending out scripts still to people, reassigning stuff when people won't come through. So that was all a Sunday gone. I didn't have that on Badass Bunyip. The person rocks up, they're actually on the set. They do it. You come away, you've got your footage. With this sort of thing, if you need a crowd, it's not one shoot. You can't get a crowd and have them shot. So I'm getting individual people. Do you have a green screen? Great. You don't? Okay. Can you film against this background so that we can blend it in? And you got to get 10 people's footage in to put them all into the one scene just to be the background characters to watch the two main characters.
I was wondering because you do have a shot in the trailer where it's about 5, 6, 7 people who run in, and I was like, wow, did they do that? How did they do this? Because with being shooting during COVID and such, so it's exciting to learn that. Like you had to get it.
Oh, we didn't do it for that one. That
Oh,
one's the scene shot in France. They were allowed to have that many people together and didn't have to have masks on. So that was easily shot that way. But in another scene, we were going to get a group of children shot in Italy. And Italy's lockdown changed again and we couldn't. So now I'm hitting up all of my friends saying, do you have a kid that's between 5 and 11? And of course, being friends, I know that they do. And would you be able to get them watching, film them? They're watching a magician show. So they're going to go, hey, they're going to go, ooh. And at one point, they're all going to say this, and then they're all going to see an alien and go, ah! And it's instructing 10 different people to shoot their kids. That sounds bad. I should say film. Never shoot your kids.
That's fantastic. Oh man, my kids would have gone crazy over that. And I couldn't even imagine filming. But
no, we still need kids. If you've got a couple of kids and you've got grass there, I can message you after this, and all you need is an iPhone. As long as you can shoot HD, we can put it in.
Oh yeah, I should be able to do that. So that'll be interesting. I'll definitely I'll message you afterwards, and we're gonna figure it out. I have grass and I have an iPhone, so
yeah,
should work.
For the magician, we had to know ahead of time where we were going to place him so that we could place the audience. And we said, right, grass can be matched from one place to another. So kids sitting on grass. So that sort of scene normally, you've got a bit of pre-production work, but you go out, you've got your camera crew and everything, and you're watching what's going on, and you got 10 kids sitting there and they watch, and it's shot in half an hour. At best, an hour, and it's in the can. Here, it's 14 hours worth of work. And if somebody's footage isn't quite right, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I feel bad saying, could you reshoot that again? Because these aren't pro camera people.
Yeah. No, I get
it. The French footage was a pro camera team. But
so this is, I was going to say, this is like, on a huge scale, very much a producer's movie, because you have to take all of these aspects, reach out to all of these people from all around the world, and fit it all together. Like direction, is a lot, but man, that's a lot for a producer to have to take on, and I applaud you for that. That's great.
Oh, Gerardo's got a lot of work too. He has to instruct.
Oh, yeah.
I watched this morning just before I came on here. Obviously, Gerardo had just gotten up in the morning and he's answering the messages that I was sending out till 3 in the morning. And he's got some very long instructions on the shot lists of what he wants to do. He has to think those things out. Now, I can't interfere with that. For one, as a producer, you don't interfere with your director too much. But if I say one word in there, I'll confuse the other person, or I might contradict. Because Gerardo's got to take that and edit it all together, and he's editing it. So just as I'm working around the clock, he's working around the clock too. So yeah, there's nobody here with an easy ride in it.
No. It's such fantastic that you're able to do this, though, and do it on such an epic scale.
I've lost my temper with one person.
Oh, yeah?
Well, you wouldn't know that a person's losing their temper because it's just type on a screen. But I'm the first person that deals with most people. So I'm vetting out the people that aren't going to come through, right? And I've got this one actor that just will not stop asking questions that have nothing to do with anything. And every time I say, please, can you stop? they start again. And then they start again. I've had that in real life many times too, but I lost it with this one and just wrote straight into the chat, footage cut. I don't want this person in there. They're going to be a troublemaker. Now, Gerardo will actually be probably doing some of the producer's job if he wants that person's footage and going over and smoothing it over and saying, don't talk to David anymore.
Yeah, I can imagine having to
So,
deal with that many people. Yeah, that can be a headache sometimes, you know. So I
well, there can be a crossover of positions where I'll give direction to somebody, but it's not often. And there will be a crossover where Gerardo will come in and do some of the producer's work, but it's not often. But yeah, I've got a lot of idiots in this. I shouldn't call them that, but people put their hand up and they're not capable of doing what they're saying, and I will lose an hour in back and forth chat until I can work out that this person cannot do what they're saying. So I'm the one with the frustration in the chasing.
Yeah. Well, now
Yeah.
with this, so it's coming out sometime in November. You're looking optimistically, I guess, at the end of November once you can get everything all together, which is great. I can't wait for that. And so after that, what's the plan? What are you going to do with distribution, and when can I see it here?
Well, my distribution plan and what I'm doing with it is totally different to anything that anybody else is doing in the industry. And this is what is confusing everybody. For instance, I'm not selling it. I'm giving it away for free.
Oh, okay.
Not looking.
How come
Well,
you do that?
I've spent 4 years or 5 years in the industry watching film after film disappear. What happens is people, they'll do their fundraiser to get money. They'll do all of this stuff and then they think they can sell it. And they might get a sale. Some of them have gone off to the American film market or the Berlin one, and they come back with 10 grand. And they've got it sold to somebody that'll put it out in a DVD. But the amount of views that these things get are next to nothing. And people, unless they're going to pay, aren't going to see it. So almost nobody gets to see the film. Now, this is actually something that actors aren't realizing, that they do not have the same purpose as the producer and the director. The producer and director are usually looking to make money. They've made their film, they want to place it, they want to make money. And the only films that are really making money and being placed are your blockbusters.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that on anything like a film of $1 million or less. The actor is hoping that they're going to make a name, that the general public will see them and then go, I love that performance. And then they will get more and more paid jobs because they've made a name. And I thought, right, I'm not in this to make money from producing. I actually make my own films because I want to act. And I started making them because nobody else would have me on their films, or if they did, they just gave me little roles. And then I became disappointed because their films came out and almost nobody saw them. And I thought, well, that's never going to go anywhere. And then I started realizing a lot of industries don't make money off of their main product. When you go to the cinema and you buy a ticket, you think that the cinema makes money from selling tickets to movies. And they do, but the majority is actually made from the food. There's something, I think when I last read about this, it was they make 15% of their money from ticket sales and the rest is made from selling food. I mean, $8 for a tub of popcorn and $10 for a stubby of beer, you can tell they're making money. And then I looked at McDonald's. I thought, well, they're in competition in a way with McDonald's. McDonald's Corporation makes most of its money from rentals. It rents the place to the franchisees. So they're in the real estate business. They don't make much from the food.
Yeah.
I used to be a cartoonist. Although I was an editorial cartoonist for The Truth, which was a major newspaper in Australia, I wanted to do a cartoon strip. And when I found out with the syndicated cartoon strips, most of the amount that came back from a sale of a syndicated cartoon strip could be as low as $10. And back then you needed maybe 500 a week to live. And I thought, well, hang on, the person might be syndicated to 100 newspapers and they're not going to make a living from what's coming back. What's going on? And the different agents told me, in every state and every city, there you've got one or two main newspapers and the majority of people read them. This is way back then. You get your cartoon strip in there, you sell merchandise like mad, because as soon as it comes to back to school, they want a lunchbox with the cartoon character. It might be Snoopy. They want T-shirts. They want drink bottles. If that cartoon strip is not in that city, your merchandise sales go down because nobody knows it. So cartoonists were making their money from merchandise. Well, I have watched how, say, the Kardashians and other people make money purely from fame. Actually, I'll take it back. I won't mention the Kardashians. Everybody's cringing. Let's talk about The Walking Dead. The people on The Walking Dead get paid well. They're on a major show. You know, it's been running 10 years. So I think it finishes next year. And you'd think, boy, you'd be rolling in money. They make more money from appearances at conventions than they do for the whole series. So no, they're not getting they're not getting underpaid for the series, but they rock up, and over 1 year of going to conventions, which might only be 10 because you're going on a weekend, they will make more money from being in 10 episodes. That's signing autographs and letting people have their picture taken with them. The money, I believe, that would be made in this, because I've looked at the business models and said, it's unlikely you'll make money from selling your film. But if you come into my film and you do a fantastic job with that script and people look at what you've done, you'll boost your standing. And what will happen is maybe you'll be asked to go to a panel at one of these things, and you'll be paid to do a panel. Maybe you'll be asked to cut the ribbon at a car thing. I don't know if you remember Jane Mansfield.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard? Mm-hmm. Jane Mansfield is remembered as a great big movie star. She was always at loggerheads with her studio, who were like holding her back. But she really manipulated the media well, like losing her top and then getting all of the publicity on it. She got such a big profile that she actually did make more money from cutting the ribbon at a car launch than she did for a whole month of being in a movie. Now, that's a woman with an IQ of 140. I might have it wrong. She was at genius level. She could speak 5 languages fluently and play quite a number of musical instruments to pro level, and she could sing and play at the same time. This is a highly talented woman, and she realized early on that a high profile was the way to go. Now, when I look at these conventions and I look at who are their paid guests, I look at some of them, and I looked at one the other day and I said, Helicopter Man. Geez, I remember him. And I hope this guy isn't watching this and going to send me a nasty email. But Helicopter Man is the guy that stands up in Dawn of the Dead, the original, and the rotor blade cuts his head off.
Yep, Jim Crow.
Yeah, he goes to conventions. He can actually set up a whole stall, sign autographs, and make money from that. I'm not knocking Jim, but that isn't really amazing at all. The amazing thing is the guy, probably Tom Savini, who made the headpiece, the people that planned it, the people that wrote it, the people, he only had to rock up. But he's not the only one doing that. There's a lot. If you have an iconic scene like Jim did that people remember, that alone could get you a living. Now, I'm aiming at much more than one iconic scene. I'm only getting my toe wet now. So the whole thing could end up being a failure. But I believe the business model is to make a good film, get it seen by as many people as possible. Now, if I sell it to somebody, they want to make money, they put it up there, it gets buried in Amazon or whatever, that people have to scroll forever to find it. That person is not going to let you see the movie for free. They want to get their money back because they paid me 10,000 or something. 10,000 really isn't a lot of money. Try living on that, and you're out of money in 14, 15 weeks. Then you need another 10,000. The money comes, the money goes. So that's not sustainable. The people that are in those films have done their time, done their dough. That's it. Nobody's going to see their film. Not enough. I mean, just for Melbourne, just for Australia alone, the people that are on TV who are well known, when I look at it, I think, I can't remember how many million people we've got now. It could be about 22 million. TV is supposedly dying, but for a nighttime show, 750,000 viewers within just Australia is how many they're getting on a nightly basis. You're not going to do it with a DVD where 1,000 were printed up and put into Walmart and 250 were sold. 250 people then saw the movie.
Mm.
The producer might have gotten $1,000 or 10 grand in his pocket, but as the actor, you didn't get seen. You got seen by 250. My distribution plan is get it everywhere. Make sure that everybody that has donated their time is going to be seen. People are going to see them and say, oh my God, that's the guy that was the magician in that film. Now, maybe that magician will be able to say when he's advertising to do shows, as seen in Toxic Alien Zombie Babes from Outer Space. Maybe that is the very thing that gets him the gig ahead of the other 10 magicians that applied. And maybe that helps him get to the point where he can actually go out and it's advertised that he is doing a magic show at such and such a place, and he can sell the place out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to rip him off of that because I wanted $1,000.
Yeah. So you're getting ready. So yeah. So what's your? Where are you taking it? Where's how do you get it in everybody's eye line? You know, what's your plan there? If you let me ask him.
That I don't know. Basically, most of the cinemas get their movies because they've come from distribution companies. Mm-hmm. And so there's a whole chain of people making money. If I don't sell it and they don't have it exclusive, there's no chain of making money. I have approached in Melbourne a whole lot of cinemas. I sent off emails, probably spent 2 days just emailing and got no replies, which possibly is because the cinemas are all shut. Yeah. But I don't think I would have gotten replies anyway. The cinemas are in a strange position, and this lockdown might change that. For instance, the cinemas don't want to, I've spoken to them in the past when they were actually there to try to get my stuff into their cinemas, offering it for free, and was always told, no, you can hire the cinema. You know, they wouldn't put an unrated film on. And they're afraid that this would upset the 5 or so big distribution chains that sell the movies, the ones that do the blockbusters. Well, the cinemas are currently in trouble with those places that do the blockbusters. Some of them have gone straight to VOD and found that they made more money from going to just to video on demand. Some of them have decided, well, you know, your 3-month corridor of being able to show our blockbusters, we're cutting it back to 14 days. The cinemas believe that once it goes onto VOD, fewer people are going to want to go see it at the cinema. I disagree, but I can't prove it. I believe the cinema experience, you got the roaring speakers, you got the whole lot, you got the giant screen. It's not the same as sitting in front of your TV or your computer. But I could be wrong. I'm not the expert. But basically the cinemas are in trouble with they don't have a strong position against the big Hollywood blockbusters and those distribution chains. If they want to survive, they now have to rethink things. I got to think, why does somebody want to come to my cinema, watch a movie and pay, you know, $18 for a $10 hamburger and $10 for a $5 beer? Why does somebody want to do that? They have to rethink it, and they are going to have to actually make changes to survive. Now, Melbourne's likely to just follow the USA. Aussies have never been great innovators. They've always looked at what worked in the USA and then copied it. So actually, the USA won't have a problem. There's a hell of a lot of indie cinemas that already show my stuff. So Roxy 14 is a proper cinema. It's only small, like 80 seats, but it's at Roxy Stadium, which is a cinema complex. They've always shown our stuff. Film Scene in Iowa is, I think, a 60-seat cinema. They've always shown our stuff. And the Harrowby Cinema in England has always shown my stuff. So I already know that I've got 5 friends around the world, at least, that will show it. But I want to get it. I'm looking at how a blockbuster comes out and is on 6,000 screens.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid. That's what I want to do. I want to hit 6,000 screens. Now, I don't know how to do it. Did you ever see, what's that film where you got the alien bugs, Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's a scene that I love in it. Basically, everybody is holed up in their compound, and they're hoping that the shields will actually hold. And the people are watching the bugs throwing themselves at the fence and dying. And they think the bugs are stupid. But what's actually happening is they're probing until they find the weakness.
Yep.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
That's perfect. I mean, that's a great way to go about it. You got to find a way in. I get it. And I applaud you for doing it that way. You know, it's innovative. I know the Alamo Draft House here in Winchester, Virginia shows a lot of indie films. So, you know, you might want to check them out. They're in great theater here.
I've been chasing them for 2 years so far.
Oh,
no, I was chasing to get my shorts on, and getting an answer, just a reply to anything, was near impossible. That doesn't mean it'll go on like that forever. But the Alamo Draft House is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, thinking outside the square. Basically, from what I look at and what I see, this is a pub, and the pub decided to turn themselves into a cinema. And we have pubs that have nights on that might be a comedy night on night 1. Night 2 might be an open night for musicians. Night 3 might be a spoken word. And it seems to me like they're a much larger version of that. And people go in, they're sitting almost at a table, but it's seats, and they order their food and drinks. And in between, in comes a guy, and he'll have a raffle and a competition and everything. This is, I know it's Texas, but it is so Aussie. It's the sort of thing we've been doing for years, but Aussies aren't smart enough. I mean, they've got the big TVs in the pub for sports, but Aussies copy the USA. The Alamo Draft House thought outside the square. It's not just the Alamo. What are they up to? 32 cinemas?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a chain. I've been chasing them forever and a day.
Yeah, I'm in Winchester, Virginia, and you would think like out in kind of a remote location like this, they probably wouldn't have one. And it's a booming one, and they opened up early. They opened up in July. They opened back up in July because they own all their territory as such. So they were able to open back up. And they did it. I think they were the first Alamo to open up, and it was, they did it in a very safe manner. They still handle everything in a very safe manner, and it's been nice, and like you said, it's kind of, they're showing a lot of older films because there's no content. There's some new movies coming out, but a lot of them are getting pushed back. So they've been showing a lot of indie films lately.
Mm. Yeah. Now I have chased them for a long time because I noticed that they were playing a lot of uh, classics and B grade movies. I messaged them probably 50 times. I'm not kidding on how much I messaged, and I've done this with everybody. It's not that they're oh so special, but I said to them, my shorts are being shown at theaters that show cult movies, just like the old days where you got the short movies before the main features. Do you want to do this? I'll give them to you for free. You know, well, I didn't get anywhere because I didn't get answers, and I just messaged everyone over and over again. I messaged people that I knew were friends with people, you know, so I haven't given up on them, and they are an ultimate place because could open on 30 screens. It's just that in a lot of cases, like you probably saw all of the media buzz that I've got happening.
Yeah.
For every blog that has covered what we're doing, I probably messaged 20 or 30 and got one answer. And it's the same with every placing of a film. I probably chased 20 or 30 places to get one success. And that's what the producing and the sales side's all about, is how
Yeah.
many times you can cop a slap in the face and come up smiling.
That's I really hope that this interview can help with that. I will definitely put on my social media and such, to reach out to you. And if you have any information that you want me to list, please let me know. And that, because I think you're right. I think especially with us being so starved for content right now, we need this, and we need fun, and we need and something different. I think that's what you have here, and I'm excited for it.
I think with this, it's going to belong to everybody, not just because everybody's sort of donating their time and is in it for free. Like, I mean, I could say made by the people for the people, but it's our story. All of us are stuck with some restriction, whether it's having to put a mask on just to go outside or not being allowed to go outside like I am at the moment. We're all suffering in some way. I really feel for the people in California at the moment because we went through the bushfires earlier this year, very similar to themselves, although I'm thinking theirs might be a bit worse because I don't know if somebody's playing with the photography, but when we had an orange glow, it was a couple of shades less.
Yeah,
But
it makes it super strong there.
Yeah, everyone in the world is affected at the moment, and we're all going through a shared experience. And I think this movie it's making light of it in one way because we've got no choice. We're going to go through it whether we like it or not. So we may as well have a laugh at ourselves and what's going on. But I'm trying my best to think of all of the different things that are going on and reflect them in the movie in different scenes. Whatever's not reflected in a scene, I play in it a vlogger that comes on and discusses stuff at the beginning of each section. So that gives a chance for me to mention things that I'm seeing going on and try to get something funny. Like I'm seeing a lot of stuff about QAnon. I never heard of them before. We've got all of these conspiracy theories, groups, things that are happening. They can't all be touched on in the one film, but if we touch on enough of them, the film in that way actually belongs to everybody because it's a lampoon of our shared experiences.
Yeah, and that's a great way to put it. Yeah, if I can help in any way, too, I will promote. So please send me your stuff so that way I can, any links or information and stuff like that as it comes out. I would love to promote, and I'll promote through this with the interview. You're always welcome to come on any one of my shows and promote. I know the time difference is a little crazy, but we'll get it figured out. But yeah, I think this is fantastic what you're doing. I like this idea. I like how you brought so many people from so many countries together. It's just an amazing collection and collaboration that I'd love to see in filming. You know,
One thing that I hadn't thought of until you mentioned it yourself, when the film's out, is there anything wrong with trying to rouse people up in America to actually pick up the physical phone and call the Alamo Draft House and say, can you show this movie? Just get everybody that loves it, because it doesn't matter if you saw it before. When you go to a place like the Draft House, you're going into a community experience. So anyone going along to that, they're people that are going to be into schlock movies, or they're going to be into something, and it's like, it would be like going to see Rocky Horror. You're going in for the community experience of all seeing that movie together.
yep.
So a phone campaign, because I can email till the cows come home, and I can send messages on Facebook to their different places. But if somebody actually picks up the phone, even if the person at the draft house on the other end wants to ignore them, by the time they've got 20 calls, they're going to be saying to their manager, people just keep ringing in asking for this film. That manager is going to talk to a manager above. And when that manager above says, we've got this happening at 4 draft houses, what the hell is this movie? They're going to say, right, there is a demand for it, and we don't have to pay for it. We can just show it, and there's a demand. There are people that go see it. So it could even create a little bit of a community around it if it becomes a cult film. If not, at least on one level, it gave us all something to do when we couldn't go outside. So if I turn out to be a total flop, which I don't want to say that, but it's always possible. You can't go into something without realizing you could fail. You must take the risk and do it anyway. What else were we going to do during this time? I'm only allowed to go to the supermarket, and I've got to be back, within an hour. I'm not allowed to do anything. Gerardo's not allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
A lot of the people we're working around the world aren't in as strict a lockdown, but they do have problems. They can't catch up with their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their family. They can't go to the movies. They can't do things that they were going to do. At least this gave them a shared experience that they're with us all, so they could communicate with us around the world, and something to look forward to, something to do, something to keep us motivated. Because another problem, which I won't cover in the film, is mental illness. This is hitting some people harder than others. It's not something I can cover in the film because it's not something you can make fun of.
Yeah, no, I get that. I understand that, but you're absolutely right. And it is something that, there should be more of a light shined on it. I mean, there's so many people suffering right now. I get that.
Well, what am I
Definitely.
supposed to do? I mean, if my neighbor is having problems, I'm actually not allowed to visit them.
Yeah.
I'm in a block of flats. I can see every door of the flats. If they walk outside, I can talk to them. If I notice that they've disappeared and I think there's a problem, I'm not allowed to knock on their door and come into their place and talk to them. So there's all of those limitations. So yeah, mental illness isn't something to make fun of, whereas a murder hornet is. You can have a great big schlocky murder hornet coming out. But
Very true.
I'm hoping that somehow, because we've got a shared goal, something to do together, that even if we turn out to be a total failure, that we at least got people through what is a temporary situation. But I do hope I know it sounds crazy, but I do want to get this on 6,000 screens.
Well, I think that's great, and I think that you should keep going with it. And I'm excited for you, and I'm so I'm so like the gears are turning and stuff. So like I said, here on the Scene Snobs, anytime you want to promote or I'm happy to promote on our social media and such. And I appreciate you coming on today and telling me more about it and your plan. I think it's a great plan, and I want to see you succeed.
Thanks.
But David, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had a great time. I know a lot of friends of mine and I are, big horror fans, and we're especially horror comedy. So we're keeping up with everything. So keep in touch with us too. And once we get a little bit closer and stuff like that, we'll have you back on the show, maybe one of our live shows, and then that way we can, you can talk about it more with the audience right there.
For sure. I would love to be back if you want any of the cast on the show to talk to them. I can always arrange that too.
Oh, great. Yeah. I have Zoom, so it could work it out, definitely. But yeah, so we'll reconvene about it, and we'll get everything situated. And I'm definitely going to highlight this all throughout the month of October, especially because it's our horror month with Halloween coming up. So
yeah, we couldn't possibly get it out for Halloween or Mexican Day of the Dead. I would love to, but it's not doable. There's that much editing to do and that much work.
Oh no, I meant the interview. So
the interview, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you'll be seeing, and I'll keep playing it on YouTube and such, so people will see it, and also the podcast version. So it'll be out there.
Oh, fantastic.
I'll give you all the links and everything once we're ready. And yeah, I will make sure the word gets out there on my end.
Is that Kurt Russell
that
on
is.
your T-shirt?
Mick Pliskin.
Yeah. Oh, that is also one of the two films that he did, and that genre of post-apocalyptic gangs, etc. That was one of my favorite genres when that was all happening, especially the ones that came out of Italy.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think we've got any of that happening in this film, which is a shame, but you can't put everything into it. And if you confuse people by jumping into too many different things, it'll fall apart.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe that'll be the next one.
Well, it is.
Okay.
We had a film that was supposed to shoot maybe February. Actually, even before that, I think it was November. And because I was doing one short film a month, this one kept being put back. There kept being a delay. I eventually got a good cast and crew together that we could do it, but it's the first film that we're going to do when we come back, and it's called Game of Groans. And it's got a girl gang, and it's got a bunch of nerds in it. So not post-apocalyptic, but your gang that comes along and disrupts a place.
I'm definitely looking forward to that one too. That is awesome. It sounds perfect. It sounds schlock, and I love it.
Yep.
Love everything. So thank you so much again, David. And where can everybody follow you on social media?
Well, I've got a Twitter, which I pretty much use for promotion. I've also got, probably the best one is YouTube, because people are probably just more interested in the end product. I'd like to see the film. I don't expect them to be wanting to follow me personally, because I haven't really managed to do anything that interesting. I mean, when you look at, say, people that made it as media stars, you're just watching a train wreck ready to happen, and you have to follow them. It's not the product. With me, I do want to do that so that I can go out and do panels, but it's still currently the product, because I haven't managed to make a big enough dickhead of myself for people to be interested. But I'm planning on it. I'll get there.
Absolutely. And so awesome. Okay, so I will have in the descriptions, everybody follow, go check out the YouTube. Also check out the trailer now for Toxic Alien Zombie Babes from Outer Space. It's an amazing title. I love it. The movie should be coming out later this year, so we will keep you up to date on it. And remember, everybody, thank you for joining in and watching the interviews. Remember to hit subscribe on our the Scene Snobs YouTube channel, and hit those notification buttons to know when we go live. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you, David. We appreciate you having me on. And until next time, everybody, have a good night.
Hello, internet fans. Do you want to learn about horror movies that you never knew existed? Do you miss the video store but not the late fees? Then join us at 3B Video, where we talk about stuff like this, and this, and this. If you'll excuse me, I've got some videotapes to return. You like Huey Lewis in the news?
This one's gonna be a hard one. No pun intended.
Down the catwalk every day, and maybe someday we'll go all the way.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. A sequel was all but inevitable, really.